This is a school of the future. I believe that.
I understand that Capital City Academy is going to give me a fantastic start in life.
I mean, to some people here, it must look as if something from the planet Mars has landed.
This is something which is right at the outer frontier.
I'll try my best not to damage anything, and I certainly won't steal.
We need to get the right students in it and use it properly to deliver the vision.
And 3 words which are essential to everything that's successful.
Millions have been given. Millions. Gosh, what I could have done with those millions. Oh.
Respect, respect, respect.
In the late 1970s, this was a famous school. Embracing all sections of society in a mixed area of North London, it was a flagship of the comprehensive revolution. But by 1998, it was in special measures, labelled as a school failing its community.
It's difficult to tell, you see, it's all the same grassland. The park, so you joined onto the park. I think this was it.
By 2003, it had completely disappeared, and Willesden became part of a new revolution. Sir Frank Lowe is one of the most successful advertising men in the world. He also founded a global sports marketing agency. Retiring after a long and profitable career, Frank was looking for a new challenge.
Every week I come up for just a gentle chat, and then I have a meeting once every 2 or 3 weeks for a morning and pub lunch with the principal. I mean, it's not so far, thank goodness. I think it's a good idea to be near the school you decide to build.
This is the school that Frank built, Capital City Academy. It is one of Britain's first academies, an independent, state-of-the-art super school built to replace the failing Willesden High. It's a high-profile attempt to reverse the decline.
I, for a long time, thought I'd like to do something, give back a bit of something. I mean, it sounds a bit goody two-shoes, but it's not really. I mean, I was very fortunate in my life. I talked with various people about what I could do, and they made various suggestions which I didn't think I'd do really well. And then this academy idea came up.
Frank donated £2 million towards the building of Capital City. He heads the Board of Trustees, and today he has come to chair one of their regular meetings. It is hoped that Frank and his academy will bring some success to this challenging neighbourhood.
Philip, if you would, on behalf of this Board of Trustees, pass on our congratulations. I didn't quite realise what I was getting into, I don't think. There was a very nice man who looks after the academies for the government called Andrew Adonis, and I met with him at Downing Street, and he talked to me about it and persuaded me, and I said, well, all right, we'll have a go.
You're looking after Frank, eh?
Frank recently brought in Philip O'Hare as principal of the school. He was working as Director of Education in another London borough.
We advertised, but his name also came up with a recommendation from the Department of Education and also from Downing Street.
I was about at the point where I either had to do one more different job or probably stay where I was till I end my career, and I suppose the thought of doing one last thing was exciting.
As his final job before retirement, Philip has taken on a controversial project.
There's a lot of criticism of the Academy programme. There's a lot of hot air talked about it, and there are risks. But at its simplest, it is saying, look, we've got some schools that under the way they've been run up until now have not flourished. Now, there are 100 different reasons for that, but nevertheless, those reasons have not been addressed well enough in those schools to get the kind of change needed to meet the needs of needy pupils. Right? They're in challenging areas, so why not try a completely fresh start approach in those areas? And why not bring in commitment and expertise from people who've been very successful in other areas? Because maybe that mix can just achieve some real change.
Philip isn't the first groundbreaking principal to make changes in Willesden. 40 years previously, one-time NUT President Max Morris was appointed to start another educational revolution on the very same site, merging a grammar and secondary modern to create one of the first comprehensives.
I was head of a local secondary modern school, and I was appointed in November 1966 to prepare a comprehensive school in the same area of West Willesden to be opened in September 67. And here we were giving the chance to all the children in the area to have a go at all parts of the curriculum. Well, that had never happened before anywhere in Europe. And to do that on a national scale was something quite fantastic, which we were all threw our hearts and souls into.
As the founding head teacher of Willesden High School, Max Morris found himself in the spotlight. His visitors included the Secretary of State for Education, Ted Short.
We were given publicity, so we had to be careful not to be naughty. Well, we were something to be proud of. We were something to be proud of.
But Max's dream didn't last.
The middle-class players soon left. Perhaps they didn't want to mix with so many working-class kids. And let's face it, with so many, what we called in those days, immigrant kids. But that was their loss.
Andy Richardson was the assistant head at Willesden High School when it closed. He witnessed the transformation.
Yeah, when I look at these now, I'm glad I keep them up, actually. A lot of people say, why the hell have you got these here? But I'm glad I keep them up because, you know, being responsible for the site, as I was for quite a long time, you know, it reminds me very much of how tough those days were. You know, it wasn't just about the students by any means. We were up against a building that was failing us. It was quite a grim place to work, without a doubt. It became very unpopular. You know, you got the situation where only 25 students were, you know, applying to go in Year 7. And once that starts, I think it's very, very difficult to pull out of that. But it was just, I think the challenges of the reputation of the school were too much, really.
Frank felt that the area deserved an extraordinary new building, so he invited his friend, Lord Norman Foster, to design it for him.
The school's built as a street. There's a kind of one way through it, so there's tremendous interaction between the children. They see each other as they go from class to class. You know, you just don't want places where people can go and hide and be in corners and that kind of thing.
You can stand at almost any point in this building and see everywhere, see for everywhere. So, you know, you can see exactly what's going on. I think for any head teacher or any senior teacher to have that kind of view of the school is very good. It's a very positive thing. You know, I could honestly say I hated about Willesden High was the fact that you really didn't know what was going on in that place. There were situations where you'd walk around a corner and there'd be a notice board on fire, you know, and somebody would be there patting it out as if it really wasn't, you know, much to, you know. If that happened here, it would be absolutely outrageous, and it hasn't happened here, and it's something that, you know, that won't occur here because there's more respect for the environment and people, you know that a lot of effort's gone into this.
The new building seems to have changed the perceptions of local parents too. Last year saw a huge leap in the number prepared to trust the academy with their children's education. There were 450 applications for just 196 places.
Philip, this is where you need... they really need...
Frank believes that the investment of money and effort into the school environment is hugely important. Today, Philip needs to work out how to water the new yew trees that Frank has donated.
But look, Frank, you asked me to find out about it. I'll find out about it.
Let me give you my thought, though, which is there's the water mains outside that gate.
Well, then
we can come into the grass here.
Yes.
With a hand pipe.
And then we can water the...
Things have changed a lot since Max Morris was in charge.
Money was short. Money was short. You never get enough money. They've got plenty of money now. Millions have been given. Millions. Gosh, what I could have done with those millions. Oh.
Right. Well, anyway, one way or another, we need to find the most convenient place to get...
And one in the far
two
corner.
water supplies for the landscaping.
Perfect.
Certainly, investing in the school is a good thing. But see, it's no longer a community school. It can't be, because of the powers that are given to their sponsor, as he's called.
We got another 27 small trees, which, because I bought too many.
Yes.
Where would we put them?
Well, what...
Who is this chap? What does he know about schools?
I was a bit astonished when my son came in with the Independent or the Guardian, I don't know which it was. Oh no, it wasn't. I think it was the Daily something, one of the little, Mail or something, with a picture of 4 of us, one of whom was me, saying, are these people fit to run public schools? And I thought, God, it's so trying, this country, that every time you try and do something, there's always somebody waiting to have a go at you.
I'm depressed by The Guardian and The Observer and indeed the Times Educational Supplement, that they seem to perpetuate these kinds of half-truths, or say because there's an issue about creationism at one academy that they're all going to be going into very controversial areas.
If somebody wants to have a go at doing this, you'd say, well, I hope it works out.
The school is open from 7 in the morning until 10 at night. The impressive range of facilities are in constant use. The academy makes them available to the local community as well as the students. Every classroom has an interactive whiteboard. Staff and students can access their work from home. Frank Lowe's passion for sport and art have had a major influence. Capital City has everything from a 400-seater basketball court to a small private art collection. Philip's job is to turn all this investment into improved results. Having inherited the same children that were struggling at Willesden High, the pressure is on.
Well, I suppose academies are different because the price we've paid for all the resources we've had is that we're expected to get to as close to the top as it's humanly possible to do without changing the children. And that's a big ask.
Capital City has been open for almost 2 years. Results have improved, but academic achievement remains low.
But I'll start. The next few slides show you 2 things. They show you what a steep hill we have to climb to get anywhere near national averages, but also some very, very good news that's buried below our disastrous-looking performance at the moment. We've been working at really trying to narrow the focus, so learning is the focus of the academy, to, if you like, get back to focusing on some of the basics of a good school.
It's always said by HMI that standards are the last thing to shift. Everything else in the school can be solid, everything else can be in place. Teaching can be excellent, leadership and management of the school can be excellent, but standards will be the last thing to shift. I mean, it's going to take a while.
Having a little bit more money certainly helps. It's not just about resources, it's about how we use them.
A large amount of the resources are targeted at one of Frank Lowe's own areas of expertise. Every academy must select a specialism, and Frank chose sport. The academy is aiming to ensure that the sport specialism helps to improve the prospects of all the students.
The activity is irrelevant in lots and lots of ways. It's the fact that actually they can take on board a healthy lifestyle and go forward and have a worthwhile, full, healthy life as a result of a very productive experience in physical education.
The Academy is allowed to select up to 10% of its intake on their sporting potential. Ali Saidi is studying AS-level maths, chemistry and sports science. He is also a nationally ranked tennis player and one of 14 elite athletes in the school.
Like that. You should always be on your toes, ready for the ball to come out there.
The Academy is giving Ali and others a chance in a sport often restricted to the privileged few.
I think tennis has still got this sort of posh aura around it, for sure. And it's just something that this country's got to change. Guys! Let's go. Because this school was Walsden High, and all of a sudden it became Capital City Academy, and it went from the worst school, to being a school for good education. A lot of people were really happy that, people actually cared about them, and they just wanted more opportunity to be successful. I'm sure that there's future top 100, many future top 100 players out there. Just seeing these kids smile and having a good time playing tennis is really, delightful.
I think it's critical in any school to have role models. They don't have to be elite athletes. They could be scientists, they could be linguists, they could be anything. To walk around the school with elite athlete written on your back, they are real role models for children, not just children who are engaged in sport, but actually children around the school, to see that actually people from this community can achieve.
Frank wants the very best for the Academy. There is always something he feels can be improved.
As I look out here now, I become very enthusiastic about all the things we can do. Going back to the building, we talked about the bubbles for the tennis courts.
The fact that he brings this hunger for success, the fact that he brings these networks, the fact that he brings these sort of passionate commitments to sport, arts and gardening and all the rest of it, those are what he brings.
And I talked to the chairman of Queen's Club about it. And it's of high quality. There are only 2 companies you should consider anyway. It's high quality because obviously at Queen's Club it's...
And I suppose the other thing that all these sponsors bring is they are used to being successful. They do know how to get to people high up. And, they are willing, if needs be, to use those connections to get things right.
And I suggest you perhaps write to him or ring him and use Lord Harris's name and my own.
Yes, I'll follow that up with great pleasure.
Glee.
Frank's connections extend beyond the world of sport. He is a patron of the arts and a board member of the Royal Opera House. He has been keen to promote the arts as the Academy's unofficial second specialism.
We've got, as the Academy, we have a private sponsor, Sir Frank Lowe. He has donated some work. The hanging sculpture is by an artist called John Davis, and this is a lithograph by Francis Bacon. So it's a real Francis Bacon, it's signed by him, it's for 50 of 50, okay? Beauty is only skin deep, write it down. Is it blood?
Oh.
Good Lord, he's having an influence already. It's Francis Bacon.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, obviously, Jonty doesn't want to bring them in to look at the bacon in the conference room until they've actually learned a bit about bacon.
Isn't that interesting?
But they can double up art and dance or art and drama more easily than...
It's pushing the emphasis sport and arts.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is important.
Though not at the expense of the sort of academic curriculum. That's the balancing act.
How do we keep the walls clean?
The responsibility for ensuring that the Academy delivers the best possible education to the local community falls to the trustees. Frank appoints 7 of the 17 members. It is at the trustee meeting that Frank and Philip can shape the future priorities of the Academy.
Indeed, I think it would be quite nice if the nation could have arts as a specialist subject, as opposed to ignoring it as best they can. I have the ultimate responsibility to screw it up if I wish, if you see what I mean. Obviously, in running the school aspects, it's down to him. But I don't think either of us see this as who's in charge.
So we can keep our Frank has no authority in his own right. Nothing is delegated to the chairman, per se. Clearly, he carries a great deal of weight in the governing body because people respect and listen to what he has to say. But some of them are appointed by him, but their responsibilities, once they're appointed, is to act in the best interests of the trust and the company and the school. But even if we don't get the funding, I think the link is wholly good and it fits in with...
No doubt about it. The sponsor can do a great many things, but in the end, the school is a reflection of the principal.
It is almost 40 years since Max Morris transformed Willesden High School into a comprehensive. He has not been back since it was demolished.
Here we are, here we are, here we are. This is... The school was over here, on the right. Gosh, look at this. Right. Follow on through here. Over by Tony Blair. He's not my favourite man. The kids go through the turnstiles to get in the school. Yeah. That's a new idea. Tickets to get in the school. Well, so far it's not like a school. It's an architectural sort of a monument of some kind, yes. Look at the space here. You could have a school in this area.
Welcome.
Oh, it's a long time.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do know each other, yes.
Yes, we do. I understand you don't approve of academies.
No, definitely not. I'm afraid not. My God, the size of this land.
Yeah. This is one of our high points. We've got this fantastic sports hall. This is a shirt signed by George Best.
Oh, yes.
This, we've come in the back way here into the library, is badly lacking in books. In fact, we're going to reorganise this space next week. Can I interrupt a minute? I want to introduce you to somebody quite special. You see this terrific crescent shape with all the reflections of the students walking. A large proportion of indigenous white children at the moment, but that I think will change as we get more local.
Very nice bloke, yes.
Do you have sugar, Max?
No sugar, thanks.
Excellent. I thought that was what you would want. There we are. Well, you can see that the buildings are amazing, but the children are still very much the same. Yeah. And I think what we've got to try and do now is to really give them the quality of education they deserve.
What I feel is essential is the feeling of belonging to the community completely. And that's why having a sponsor, even the 0.6, see, 6 in my gullet a bit. See, he's paid £2 million, for which he's got an asset of about, well over 20 million.
No, he hasn't. He does not own the asset.
No, well, the governing
body,
trustees own it.
Yes, but hang on, the trustees are a registered charity and they are a company limited by guarantee. Ah. The sponsor cannot act independently of the rest of the governing body.
But is there any need for a sponsor?
Well, I would say what the policy is based on is that by bringing in the commitment and goodwill of people who've been very successful in different walks of life, you're adding something new into the mix, And I have to say that's how it's working with Sir Frank here.
Don't you feel that you could still have a good secondary school with many millions less?
It does look fantastic, and some of the money has gone into making it look fantastic rather than into just classroom equipment. I think if I were choosing, I might have slightly altered that balance. But I'm not saying we should have the money instead of other schools, because I think they all need to be in good buildings. All I'm arguing with you about is I don't think it's fundamentally unfair to do the worst first.
But whether the education is going to be better than it was before, I don't know.
Well, look,
under you, it'll certainly do its best. I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that. But
I mean, I think
there's no need for it.
I think you're right that there is a risk that all this money will go in and nothing much will change, because buildings don't make a school. It's the people that make the school. I mean, clearly we're not going to have a total meeting of minds here. And it's been great fun having the argument. Well, look, thank you for coming.
Thank you for
It's been
seeing
a
it.
pleasure, and I enjoyed the joust.
I wish you luck.
Well, come again.
Yeah, I may give you a ring.
Do.
Thank you.
Do. It's very easy to make a 5-minute difference. It's much harder to make a 52-week a year difference. Because I think it will take this next 5 years to get the place absolutely solidly as it should be.
It is a collective responsibility, but I feel personally responsible. I mean, there's no question in my own mind I do if the school doesn't work. But there's no point I've ever regretted starting it. And that perhaps is the best measure of it. Not just putting the money in it, but more than that, the time and energy. No point have I ever thought, oh God, that was a mistake.
This will be my last full-time job, and for reasons of personal pride as well as professional commitment, I want this to be wholly successful. And I want it not just for me, I want it for this community and these students.